we do like a bit of accent interplay on this programme, which is why we sent Northerner Tim Samuels to meet boy genius singer-songwriter Geoffrey Lewis.
It's the ultimate faux pas at the culture show, being asked to interview someone and you haven't the foggiest who they are. They tell me he's a singer-songwriter from New York. He draws his own life experiences in a comic book. Someone who's developing a cult following, touring around Britain. He's called Geoffrey Lewis, and he's been praised from some eminently cool quarters.
He's found the romance of the road, you know what I mean? It's just him and his brother hitchhiking around different countries.
He writes funny songs, stupid songs, earnest, sad, tender songs, really smart, incisive songs, and he'll do them all on one album.
And Jarvis Cocker says Geoffrey is the best lyricist working in the USA today. Could Geoffrey Lewis really be the Big Apple's best kept secret? A genius with an estate agent's name. This I need to see. The cult following has come to Brighton en masse. Tonight's gig is a sellout. I do hope Cocker's not leading me up the garden path. It's a lo-fi operation here. Members of the Lewis family set the stage and sell the merchandise.
This is a short film I made called Floating Away, Part 1. It's got a sequel, but you don't have to worry about that right now. There was a landlord who bought a little bulldog, and when the landlord was bored, he took the dog for a walk.
Oh no, what's with the nasal poetry? This is more like it. Geoffrey's on-stage intensity does draw you in. And Geoffrey's kind of uncool but cool.
Oh, I really don't like that kind of attitude because it just kind of undermines him. Like, people get into him because he's tweeting kits and like he's so uncool and he's a bit ugly and he's not typical pop star. But really, just write sweet songs and you can like him just for that. You know. I'm having a go at you.
Well, you just called him ugly. I mean, I just said he was a little bit cool. Have you got a crush on Geoffrey?
Yes, of course. Yes.
You both do?
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, the first time we met him, we were just talking to him in the crowd, and he was like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I'm Geoffrey Lewis. I've got to go on stage now." Then he got on stage, and we licked his guitar.
My gal's got a headache, her ankle is hurting too. The boots she bought gave her a rash, and her wisdom tooth is coming in, and it's damp out, and she...
Stream after stream of neurotic consciousness just keeps on flowing.
I said, don't be upset, I know you're feeling sensitive. I'll try to be kinder and be more attentive. Please don't be upset, my darling, please don't get upset.
I feel like I've been through some sort of group therapy and everyone's sort of come out and I'm slightly uplifted by the whole thing.
It's the cheapest therapy around if it is.
It's £8, it's alright, isn't it? I love that.
No, I normally have to pay a lot more than that.
Gig over, but no after-show party. The band have to strike the set and then find somewhere for themselves to stay. So you don't know who you're staying with?
No, I don't even know where we are.
The fans offered to let them crash at his tonight.
I'm Helen.
Hey.
So they have kebabs, they have burgers, they have chips.
Alright.
The rest of the band head out to forage at Brighton's takeaways. Have you seen some nice floors over the years?
Well, yeah, we've seen some beautiful, incredible floors over the years. We just ask the audience if anybody has room for us on their floor, and that usually works.
There's an impressive level of neurosis in the lyrics, which I loved, adored. I mean, you have the whole sort of thing about worrying about getting cancer, not having insurance to cover that.
In America, you just assume that if you get sick, you're just going to die and be left in the gutter. I mean, the U.S. spends all its money on bombs and destroying people, so there's nothing really left for healthcare or education or any of those things. So
at least there's enough left for a curry. That love of all things British infuses his latest album, cover versions of 80s anarchic punk group Crass.
1, 2, 3, 4, yes!
Crass has obviously been described as some kind of aggressive, anarchist, extremist maniacs, but they're really quite logical and convincing. Crass really presents just this uncompromising view, whether that's considered anarcho-pacifist or whatever names you want to put on it. Before them, I don't think there was any band that pressed their own records, did their own distribution, booked their own tours, just sort of everything from the ground up was completely
the kind of
DIY.
ethos that you do with your getting people to give you lifts here and crashing there and selling your own records.
They spearheaded that whole bands can do it themselves thing.
Life and art come together in Jeffrey's world. Everything that happens to him on the road ends up serialised in his comic books.
You know, looking for ways to combine the music and the art stuff has been good, because I'm able to sell a lot of my comic books at my shows a lot more than I would if I wasn't playing shows.
So it's real sort of DIY rock and roll where you perform, then you go around and you sell your CDs and you sell your comics and your T-shirts.
You know, it just goes back to the days of being a wandering minstrel and just running around from town to town doing what you do. While we're in this more intimate environment, I should show you what some of these low-budget videos really look like without being projected. This is a low-budget documentary. I've got a bunch of different documentary films. This is the history of writing. Is it right to have the right to write? In prehistory, they didn't. How'd we go from walls and caves to Egyptian graves to print and beyond print? 8,000 years back, we first started keeping track.
There's definitely something to Jeffrey Lewis. Cocker's not wrong.
Rhyming handmade things made with crayons, but who knows, anything can happen. So that's the history of writing. I'm an example.
I'd let him crush at mine.
Hero of the great, intelligent, magnificent human race.